Heyo, Rebecca of Carnivore Wellness here. Today I want to talk to you about the full expression of the self and what the heck that even means. Because I'm still trying to figure that out too. Okay, in a lot of my recent videos, I keep talking about removing these barriers or getting in touch with my inner child and healing old wounds to try and release pain patterns and really get a hold of and wrestle with limiting beliefs and releasing those so that I can be this full embodied person and express myself fully. Well, what the heck does that mean? Because that can sound it can sound a little flu and fluffy. And in this video, I want to nail down what that looks like for me. And the reason it's coming up today is because over this last weekend, I had the chance to recognize within myself another element of what my full-bodied expression looks like, feels like, and how it applies. So I want to share that, and then at the end, I'd love for you to comment what it is that full self-expression looks like to you. What is it that you do that makes you feel full and makes you feel like you're being your best self and embodying your true spirit and purpose and everything good like that. All right, so firstly, I want to start off saying that there are many ways we can express ourselves, right? And a lot of times when we first think of self-expression, we think of the words that we say, the way we carry ourselves, maybe even in how you dress or your mannerisms or something like that. The way that you hold yourself and interact with the world. That's definitely part of it. I have been working on that, right? I've been trying to figure out how to show up as my full self, how to be an authentic person, how to leave behind patterns or behaviors of shame that keep me quiet. I'm trying to release those. And I don't even want to say I'm trying. I am releasing those, and I am stepping into this new place of expressing myself verbally and energetically and sharing that. So in some of the ways I'm doing that, one, making these videos on YouTube. Okay, this is a great way for me to have a open platform for me to express what it is that is in my heart and communicate that via words and video. I'm also figuring out how to express myself to others in my relationship with others. I'll give you, a little brief window into what I'm going through. I've referenced undergoing a spiritual awakening lately. I am coming back into remembrance of who I am meant to be. And, well, it's hard to express that sometimes in words, especially to people who are used to seeing us in certain lights or in certain boxes, right? There are so many ways where we only have shown up previously in certain ways, and so that is what people expect of us. Well, what happens when we start to break outside of that, and what does that look like? And how is it received? Sometimes not as graciously as we would like. I've got two little examples of that. So one, the other day, I was listening to one of my favorite channels, Stefan Burns. He's a geophysicist, space weatherman extraordinaire. If you haven't seen his channel, I recommend it. He digs a lot into the science of everything that's going on in the cosmos and the Earth and seismic activity. The man knows so much, and he brings all of that wealth of science-backed information to the forefront. But he does not hesitate from sharing the spiritual side. So a lot of times he'll end his videos with, singing bowl or vibrating tuning fork, type of kind of a meditation. It's always really short and sweet, but at the end of one of the recent videos that he posted, he asked that, or he encouraged viewers to join in with saying a few rounds of ohms. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's where you go, Om. Okay, that's a pretty full expression, and it's loud, it's different, and it also taps into this primal spirituality that can be a little uncomfortable for people. Like my husband, who walked in the room and he was in the midst of doing something very, matter of fact, in the moment. He was gathering papers that we needed, in order to get utilities or something of that nature, something very practical and very, hands-on, matter of fact. We weren't on the same wavelength in that moment. And he comes in and I'm making my third or fourth rounds of ohms, and he comes in and he's asking a question, and I continue my ohming because that's the place where I was. That was my expression in the moment. And he got real irritated and he said, "Stop that." Well, I did stop in the moment, but I was pretty irritated about it because I felt like I am in this place of expressing my full self. So I did push back a little bit, and I told him that was rude, and I don't think he should be, yelling stop that at me. He didn't yell, but you know what I mean. Shouldn't be telling me to stop some version of full expression, which in that moment was me trying to find my center, and enjoying the opportunity to step into a better place, a better mood for the day. And he kind of shut it down. It can be hard sometimes for even the people who love us most to see us in our full expression, especially when it starts to step outside of the norm. Another one that is coming up is I shared in a recent video that my grandmother's in the hospital. She is doing well. She had her hip surgery, but there are some heart complications, and she is starting to experience aspects of the transition between the known reality of Earth and life after. And so in trying to make sure that I am supporting my mom and my family and, in what they're going through, especially my mom, I have been stepping into a lot more spiritual speak, you could say, in that, I want to be present with her and sit with the hard feelings and also recognize that, there is some level of transcendence that we can't quite comprehend that is taking place with my grandmother. And it's a beautiful thing, and we shouldn't deny it. We shouldn't stuff it down in a box. We shouldn't always look for medical answers as to why maybe she might be having some experiences that otherwise can't be explained. And so that's another aspect of stepping outside of the comfort zone of known self-expression in word. Okay, so that's one of the main ways that, self-expression occurs is in word and communication. Another one that I wanted to touch on, it's a spirituality piece. So I am starting to engage in other practices. I'm doing a lot of journaling. I'm doing a lot of meditating. And in those moments, I am having some very rich experiences. I'm not really ready to say more on that just yet, but I will leave it at that. That is an internal, or not internal, but it is it's a way of self-expression that at this point only I am experiencing. I am not yet sharing that with others in its fullness because it is for me at this point in time. It is for me to continue to cultivate until I'm ready to let that light out. So that's kind of like part 2 of my self-expression and what I'm coming into as I am trying to embody the fullness of myself. And so it's even challenging me to step outside the realms of what I think is possible for me and my interpretation of my experiences. It's neat, right? But it is, it's different. It's another form of self-expression. Just at this point, it's one that kind of is only affecting me, I think. And then the third one, the thing that really came up this past weekend that I want to share because it was really powerful for me to have this realization. So I have been leaning into the fact that I am meant to be a physical being in a physical world. So yes, I've been really, opening myself up to the spirituality that is there and available for everyone that I am now tapping and tuning into. But I'm also realizing that I am very much a human meant to have a human experience. And I express and experience that through physicality. So, over the last, I'd say 2 years, I have been, engaged in weightlifting, working out, building my body, engaging physically in that way. And that has felt really good. I've cultivated a lot of muscle mass. I've gotten really strong and I have good endurance. I'm quite capable of any physical challenge. I have continued to see over and over that when I engage in challenging physical activities, I thrive. I feel like I am tapping and tuning into a part of me that is just aching to get out. And so this past weekend, my husband and I, we completed our move. So we recently moved from East Tennessee to Western North Carolina, and it's been kind of a slow process. We've had a lot of family vacations and, things in between. My husband still has been working, maintaining a normal work schedule. So we finally got around this weekend to renting a truck and going over and getting all of our big furniture, as well as all of the stuff that we'd stuffed under the house, a lot of canned goods, a lot of, tools, off-season clothes, just items that have been in storage that we did not need to have access to. It was a lot of stuff. We filled up a huge moving truck. So, we hop in the truck, we go over, we started loading stuff up from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And then we made the 2-hour drive back over. We had to get the rental truck back in time. So without missing a beat, we unloaded everything again, and we weren't able to get the moving truck up the driveway. So we had to park at the drive and walk everything up the driveway, dispersing between the sheds and the home. We got it all done in time to return the rental truck on time. But I'm telling you, I was a hot, sweaty mess from 10 a.m. onwards, or okay, maybe realistically 10:15 onwards. I exerted a lot of physical energy, and it was challenging. It was hard. And honestly, there were times where mentally I was having to dig deep. My husband and I, we kind of referred to David Goggins at moments. I don't know if you're familiar, but he is a Navy SEAL and has done a bunch of other great physical feats as well. And he shares how he taps into that motivation and stuff. And anyways, he has this phrase, and it's, who's going to carry the boats? Because that's one of these training activities that they have to do in their Navy SEAL training. And it's just this idea of, do you want to be that person who can show up and help their teammates carry the boats, because this is the task at hand. And so we were digging deep. It was a huge physical feat to complete this move in the time frame that we did, and to do so with what I would say is a very positive attitude given all that we were doing. So we dug deep, we made it happen. And then we were really physically exhausted after that. I finally slept really well. And then the next morning, I was kind of dragging. We went and did a couple little hikes around the area with the kids, and my dad, who was still in town because he kept the kids the day before. And but then that afternoon, I don't know, I got another wave of energy, and I decided to ride that wave and see where it took me, and I mowed the whole lawn. Now, we don't have a huge property, but it took me an hour and a half to mow, and it was hot, and I was beat. But as I was doing that activity of mowing, I realized, wow, when I am engaged in these acts of physical labor, I really enjoy it. I thought back to some other projects I had completed. I'd pretty much orchestrated all the moves prior to the big furniture. I was the one kind of going back and pulling all the little miscellaneous things, odds and ends. My husband and I had another moving day where we'd gone over and moved the chicken coop, had to disassemble everything, round up the birds, and move them over to our new house, get it set up and everything. And also prior to that, I built the chicken fence. I built the fence for their pen. It's relatively large, but I had to, dig posts into some clay soil and cement those in. I had to stretch and pull and attach the wire, and then I had to go back along the edge and add chicken wire at the base layer to keep little critters from digging in, and so that involved digging out dirt and then backfilling again. Anyways, a lot of really physically challenging activities. And in those moments, in those times of completing these hard physical activities, I really felt like, oh, I am tapping into this person, like this part of me. Except I have always kind of wondered if it really counts as expressing myself if it's just doing a physical activity. For whatever reason, I have in the past found it challenging to view my physical efforts as an expression of the self. I kind of see it as, oh, I'm doing chores, I'm being productive, I'm, just doing the things I need to do. But I do it with a joyful heart. I enjoy it. Like, I'm pouring sweat and my muscles are tired and maybe covered in bug bites or whatever the case may be. And I really enjoy it. It makes me feel so good. It builds me up in a way that other activities don't necessarily do. And I would get that same sort of feeling through, working out and lifting weights and stuff. And I've just come around finally. Yesterday, it hit me, hey, Rebecca, why are you fighting this? This is just as much a part of your self-expression, this exertion of physical energy and making an impact on the physical world and making change, moving mountains. Another example is digging up the septic tank for the guy to come and pump it like that. I literally moved mountains of dirt in that day and felt so good about it. So that's what I'm getting at, is this self-expression. It can take many forms. And for me, the latest realization that one of those forms of self-expression is me engaging physically in the physical world. And I love it. So I'm curious, what is it for you that really helps you feel like you're tapping into your self-expression? And is it something kind of like how I had this moment of realization that this, the physical exertion is part of that for me? Do you have any surprising ways that you have shown up for yourself to express yourself? I'm really curious. Put that in the comments below. I love these kind of conversations, and I welcome them in the carnivore wellness community. Speaking of carnivore, let me just say that I'm able to do all of these physical tasks, challenging physical tasks, without carbs, without the addition of sugar. I can eat the fatty meat and I'm good to go. There have been many times where I've completed projects where I end up relatively fasted for most of it. And yet I can still show up and I can do the hard things. So for anyone who says that you can't do hard things on carnivore or that it stunts your physical performance, that's just false. Okay, I have gained a lot of muscle mass on carnivore, and I have been able to do more physically while on carnivore than I was ever capable of before. So just wanted to throw that little tidbit out there because this is the Carnivore Wellness channel. I am leaning more into talking about the wellness side because I want to be inclusive of those experiences too. There's so many people out there teaching and talking about the carnivore mechanics. I am now moving into this place of, okay, now that I've got the mechanics in place of carnivore, how does it help me fully express myself in the world so I can be who I want to be? And I am getting there, y'all. I am feeling more in line and more in tune with the person that I want to be and feeling unapologetic for it, even if it gets a little uncomfortable, even if it's unexpected, even if it maybe is showing up in a way that I previously did not think counted as self-expression. That's my message. That's my thing. That's what's been working for me lately. I want to hear from you. Carnivore Wellness Community. If you want to join, you're absolutely welcome. It's totally free. All you need to do is go to carnivorewellness.kit.com, put your email in the little email prompt. You'll be joined, added to the email list. I send out one email a week, and that contains the free Zoom link to the live meeting. There's just a handful of us carnivores, meat-based eaters. No judgment if you eat, non-carnivore foods. We have people in the group like that too. Absolutely everyone's welcome. We just join together in support and friendship, and we lift each other up, and we talk about the things in life that matter, carnivore-based and other. So if that sounds like a place for you, if you're looking for some support, if you want to dive a little deeper onto what this carnivore journey is doing to help mold and shape you and empower you to be who you want to be in this better version, this improved version of yourself, this more healed version of yourself, you're absolutely welcome, and I hope to see you there. I love you guys. I will see you in a future video as more insights drop in. All right. See you next time.